All right, so now we've been able to upload our product excluding the image. Now I left that part because like I said, it's a little bit complex and I wanted to take my time to explain it well. Now for you to upload an image, right, you cannot just do it with this regular form. So if you click on this option here, you will see this multi-part form, and I know that there is that option too in Postman. So if for any reason you're using Postman, then you should also get that option. If you click on multi-part form, then you see this value here. Let me just see. You will be able to select like a file option. So for example, if I wanted to add a file and I know we gave that file a property of image, all you just have to do is click on this downward arrow and then you can specify that you want to add a file. So if I click on this file now, you see I now have the option to choose a file. Now I can click here and it will just open up my computer file manager and allow me to select a specific file there. Now this is my file manager open here, so I just have to be in the downloads and then I'll just select a file. Okay, so I'll just select any file, so electronics, and then I'll just select that. And as you can see, we have that here, electronics.jpg. But ordinarily, we will not be able to process this file because it's a little bit more complex than just uploading text. So we're going to use a tool or a package to help us process the file and get the relevant information from this file. And the name of that package is Multer. So I'm going to open npmjs.org or .com rather, and then I'll search for Multer. So Multer, and then just hit enter. Aha, so this very first result here, you see it's a middleware for handling multi-part or form data. So if you open that, you would if you open that, you will see the command to install it. So I'll just copy that command and then I'll just install it. So let me bring up my code editor here and then I'll just install that. So paste that in, npm install Multer. I'll hit enter and then give it a couple of seconds. Now while it's installing, I'm just going to bring up my browser one more time and then let's just see some things. So there are some documentations that we need to follow to be able to use Multer to process file upload. So let's just scroll down and let's see. Aha, so you see these are some of the documentation, but this is not even what I'm interested in. I want to show you how to set up Multer properly. So if you keep scrolling down here, you should see something about where you have the storage. Okay, yeah, so you see storage here, and then you see some information here about how you can store images using Multer. So look at this documentation very well. We're going to do something very similar to this. All right, so let's get started. I'm just going to bring up my code editor here, and you can see that the package has finished installing. And like we always do, just to confirm, you can just check your package.json file and then you're going to see Multer right there. Great. So I would close that so that we can proceed. Now, just like we did when we created the function to send an email, we're going to create a function that will help us upload, handle uploads generally. So that is going to be inside our utils folder because it's like a utility, something we use in multiple places. So I'll just create a new file and I'll call this file, what am I going to call it? File upload. I think file upload is fine because I mean it helps us upload files. So let me just call it file upload.js, file upload.js, and then hit enter. So in this file is where we're going to set up Multer. So how are we going to get started? Well, the first thing is we're going to import Multer. So I'll say require, and the name of the package is Multer. So like so, and then we're just going to come down. So if you go back to the documentation, I actually want to use the documentation this time. I don't want to just have to type. So let me come to the documentation. Now you see here, the first thing is we will define where we want our file to be stored and the name of the file. So let me just grab this guy, just grab it. We're going to modify it though, but just grab it first, and then let's go back. Aha. So here, let me just add a comment here and say define file storage, and then just paste that in. Okay, so here we created a storage variable and we say multer.disk storage, and then there are two properties we defined inside it. The first is the destination, where we now called a function that has request file and callback. Great. Now this callback, the first property is null, just leave that like that. This second property is the folder where you want to store the file. Well, I just want to store my own in a folder called uploads. So all this tmp my blah blah blah, I just want it to be in uploads. Okay, so what that means is that inside of this my backend folder, I would have like another folder here called uploads, and that's where this is going to point to, and we're going to point to it shortly from our server.js file. So but let's just finish this storage area first. So that's it for this one. Then next is we're going to define the file name. So it's also giving us a request file and callback, but what is important is okay, see this callback here, this is what we are going to work with to define the file name. So you know what I'm going to do, I'll just get rid of all these unique suffix. This is just to like attach a unique name to make the files that you're storing unique. So I'll delete these guys and I'll just write it out myself. So delete that. Great. So we have a callback, first property of null, leave that as it is. Now the name of the file is what now follows. So you see this file name plus unique suffix. We've deleted the unique suffix, remember, so we're just going to get rid of that. So here, to make sure that the file name is unique, because two files cannot have the same name in your database anyway, we're just going to do date.now. Sorry, not date.now. We're just going to use the date property, and then we're going to say to, so dot to ISO string. Okay, so that's one. Then we're going to call that. Then this dot to ISO string, and the way it's going to write the date is going to separate the day, the month, and the year with a /. That's not what we want. We don't want that. So we are going to that / that it will. Let me show you what I mean. Let me just come down here and write some dates. So for example, let's say the day is 23rd and the month is maybe 08 and the year is 2022. This is how it's going to separate it with a /. So what we want, instead of this /, let me make this a comment. What we want is we want it to be separated by a dash, a hyphen, so that we don't have any kind of errors depending on the server you're storing your files. All right, so now let me show you how you do that. So we're going to come here and we're going to replace it. I'll say dot replace. Aha. And here we're just going to use regular expression. So first, let's define what we want to replace. So I want to replace the / and I want to replace it globally, add a comma. And what do you want to replace it with? Well, we want to replace it with a hyphen. And here we're just going to add a plus. So we're going to append this date with the file dot original name, not even the field name, but original name. Okay, so here I'll just change this to original name. So the name of the file as it is saved on your computer, that's the original name. Okay, so I hope this was not too confusing for you, right? Technically what we just did is we defined the destination, which is where we're going to store the file, and then we defined the name that we want to save the file as. Okay, all right, so that's about it for this one. The next property we're going to define inside of this place is the property to filter the file, to define which files can be saved, which file formats can be saved. So let me add a comment here and I'll say specify file format that can be saved. So because you don't want anybody to just upload anything, you want to only allow specific file formats. So for this part of the project, there is also the documentation in Multer. So sometimes it's good to just calm down and read the documentation. In fact, knowing how to use documentation is a skill. So here you see here that we have this const upload equals Multer, so we can just copy that and we'll come back here. So but then let me just put it at the bottom. I'll just paste that in. We're going to come back to that. All right, so now let's come down and see if we have a file filter somewhere. I'm sure we do. Okay, yeah, so you see function file filter, and then it has all of this. So let me just grab all of this and then we're just going to modify it. So here I'll just come here and paste that in. Great. So let's see what we have here. Of course I don't need all of these comments, so let me delete them. Sorry for the time. Okay, so we're good to go. So here I'm first going to add an if statement to define the kind of files that I want to accept. So here let's just do if. I'll open this up and then I'll just break it down like this. So here let's do, there are actually three types of files we want. We want the PNG, the JPG, and the JPEG. Okay, so the way you define that is you say that if the file dot mime type, all right, that's how you define it. That's the property that holds whether it's PNG, JPG, or whatever. So you say if it's equal to, and then you now specify. So image forward slash PNG. So that's the first file type. So you know what I got to do? I'll just duplicate this 1, 2, and then I'll just add the OR operator here and here as well. So this second one, we're looking at image.jpg, and the last one we're looking at image.jpeg. All right, so now if we have this image mime type or this file type, what are we going to do? So what we're going to do is going to come here. All right, so what we want to do is we want to allow it to be uploaded. So that's going to be inside this callback function of true. So I'll just copy that, or rather I'll cut that, and then I'll just slot it inside the if block. So this true means allow the file to be uploaded. So now I'll just come here and add my else block, which technically is not necessary, but then I'll just bring this inside. I'm just doing it so that you know that everything here is together. Of course, I'll just get rid of this. Okay. All right. So now the last piece of last thing we need to do here is to define this upload parameter that we can now use in different parts of our application. So here we're defining it. We said we added the storage property, which is the first property we created. Then now we'll now add the file filter property. So here I'll just come, add a comma, and then I'll say file filter. And of course that's going to point to file filter, but in ES6, if the property name and the value is the same, then you don't need to define it. So here I can also get rid of this storage and add a comma, and life is easy. Great. Next we'll just export the upload. So here I'll come here and say module dot exports, and then I'm just going to export it like an object. So upload. Yeah, so that's it basically. I'll go ahead and save. What this means is that we can now use this utility file or this utility function to handle uploads throughout our application. So that we don't spend too much time on one video, I'm going to take a pause on this one, and in the next video we're going to continue the upload process.